You ever seen a kid swim so well a grown woman called 911 like she'd witnessed a crime? Me. That's exactly what happened when Barbara Eastman, Vice President of Vengeance and Pool Scheduling, declared my 12-year-old daughter Lily a water hog. All because my girl had the audacity to swim like Michael Phelps with manners. I wish I was joking. 2 cops showed up to deal with what? Excessive swimming. That's when I knew this wasn't just about pool rules. This was a full-blown Karen meltdown. Ever had a neighbor turn a kiddie pool into a battlefield? Hit me in the comments. I can't be the only one living next to HOA madness. Now I moved to Silverbrush Meadows because the brochure promised peace, community, me and shared resources. What they didn't mention was that your happiness had to be pre-approved by Barbara. Our first week there, Lily dove into that pool like it was therapy, church, and recess combined. She swam with such grace that Mrs. Penelope, a 78-year-old with a neck brace and binoculars, actually clapped. But not Barbara. No, she stood behind the hedge like a crocodile in pearls, whispering to her son Tyler, me. That's not how we share. Barbara strutted over with a laminated folder like she was about to issue parking tickets for joy. She leaned in close and smiled the way snakes smile before they bite. Your daughter sure takes up a lot of space in there, she said. My Tyler has special needs for athletic progression. Now listen, I'm all for inclusive spaces, me. But that pool was emptier than her moral compass. And Lily, she was swimming in her lane, literally and metaphorically, so I told Barbara, politely but firmly, well, follow the posted hours and be respectful of everyone's time. Her eyes narrowed like she'd just lost a bid on eBay. We'll see about that, she hissed. Retreating like a retreat had ever stopped her before. Lily looked up at me, already unsure. Daddy, am I swimming too much? My heart cracked like a pool tile under pressure. This was supposed to be healing, not Olympic drama judged by a clipboard. That night I caught Barbara watching from her balcony, holding a glass of sparkling water like it was court evidence. I knew then, this wasn't about the pool. It was about control, about a woman so allergic to excellence, she'd rather drain the deep end than let a kid feel proud. Me. And I hadn't even unpacked my lawn chairs yet. Ever seen someone try to evict happiness from public space? Drop your HOA horror tales below. I know you've got one. If laminated paper had an attitude, it would be Barbara Eastman's freshly posted pool prioritization chart, taped dead center on the community bulletin board, next to the lost cat notices and hot yoga flyer. It glared like a manifesto, of 3 to 5 p.m. priority to children with corrective coordination needs. It read in Comic Sans no less. Nothing says bureaucratic nonsense like weaponized fonts. Lily read it and immediately clutched her towel like she'd just been told fun was now illegal on Tuesdays. We walked past Barbara, who was seated like a courtroom stenographer in a sun hat, clicking her stopwatch every time Lily touched the wall. No hello, no smile. Just Olympic-level judging from the comfort of a 400 gravity recliner. She's at 17 minutes now. Barbara muttered to no one in particular. I wanted to ask if she was expecting ESPN to sponsor her kid's dog paddle. But instead, I nodded politely and wondered how one woman could manage to be so hydrated and so hateful. Mid-swim, Barbara took out her phone, put on her best, concerned citizen face, and loudly fake, called someone named Donna. Yes, it's happening again, she stage whispered. They're completely dominating the facility. It's really selfish, Donna. My Tyler has developmental priorities. Tyler, by the way, was sitting 5 feet away eating goldfish crackers and not even wet. Lily slowed down, visibly confused. I could see the doubt sneaking in, wrapping around her shoulders like a damp towel of guilt she didn't earn. Back at home, Lily barely spoke during dinner. Finally, she asked, Daddy, should I swim less? Maybe I could just practice floating. My fork hit the plate like a gavel. Absolutely not, I said. You have every right to that water. And your butterfly stroke is poetry with splash. But even as I said it, I could see the chart was working. Barbara didn't need a whistle. Just enough suggestion and segnage to make a child question her joy. And that's what infuriated me most. Not the fake schedule. Not the stopwatch surveillance. But the fact that one woman's cardboard authority was starting to work on a child who had survived the worst year of her life. As I tucked Lily in, she whispered the words that hit harder than any rule book. Should I try to be worse at swimming? No, sweetheart. You just need to get better at ignoring people who fear brilliance. When grown-ups fear someone else's light, they'll try to shade the whole neighborhood just to feel taller. Silence in the face of petty rules isn't peace. It's surrender with better manners. What would you say if someone tried to schedule your kid's happiness? Sound off below. It's time we called laminated lies what they are. Nonsense. You haven't really experienced madness until you've seen a 12-slide HOA PowerPoint titled, Aquatic Justice. Restoring Balance in Shared Water Resources. Barbara Eastman rolled in with a wheeled projector like she was defending her PhD in oppression. Meet the only attendees at this so-called Emergency Community Reallocation Summit were her two besties, Linda, who once filed a noise complaint against wind chimes, and Beverly, me, who talks like her pearls are too tight. I sat in the back with a Diet Coke and a folder labeled the actual rules. Barbara stood at the front like Judge Judy with a laser pointer. Slide Wency. Problem swimmers and pool hoarding behavior. Slide Tune Time Analysis Exhibit A. Lily's freestyle domination. I kid you not. She had a bar graph that looked like it was built to take down Wall Street. Me. Barbara used terms like aqua equity and chlorine resource imbalance while sipping from her mason jar of mint-flavored superiority. Tyler, bless his soul, me, was asleep 2 rows behind her with a juice pouch and not a clue. I raised my hand halfway through her dramatic reading of slide 80. Pool utilization disparity metrics. Barbara narrowed her eyes like I'd just insulted her PowerPoint transitions. Before we vote on implementing daily time caps, she announced, we need to acknowledge that this pool is a finite asset, and some residents are exceeding their allotment. I stood slowly and held up the OA charter like it was the Constitution. Actually, I said, no HOA member may unilaterally impose new rules or restrictions without board vote and official notice. Me. You don't get to rezone the deep end because your feelings got soggy. Barbara blinked like a TikTok ring light just activated her survival instincts. The room got real quiet. Me. Linda leaned over to Beverly and whispered, wait, can she not make rules? Beverly gasped so hard she almost swallowed a cough drop. Barbara's smile cracked like day-old Jell-O. Me. These are community guidelines, she sputtered, strongly encouraged. I took a sip of my Diet Coke and said, Barbara. Me, encouragement without authority is just a suggestion in a fancy font. That's when the projector short-circuited mid-slide. Sparks popped. Me. Slide 10 froze on a photo of Lily smiling in goggles with the phrase, behavioral dominance, underneath it. Even the tech was embarrassed. Barbara hissed like a soda can under pressure. This is not over. She snapped as she yanked the cord like it owed her money. But everyone in the room could feel it. The tides were turning, and not just in the pool. Her slideshow had turned into self-sabotage with bullet points. Fake power folds faster than patio furniture in actual sunlight. If you're going to police joy, at least learn how to read the bylaws. Ever watched someone weaponize a slideshow? Share your most absurd OA encounter below. We're all ears and eye rolls. Me. Barbara Eastman once called 9-11 because a cannonball splashed her gluten-free magazine. So I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when she called the cops over a butterfly stroke. Yep, my daughter Lily, age 12, no criminal record, dared to swim efficiently on a weekday afternoon. Barbara stood poolside in her sun hat of judgment, waving her phone like she was summoning the Coast Guard. Yes, officer, me. We have a repeat violator. She's ignoring community orders and creating unsafe ripples. She announced to no one in particular except maybe the bees avoiding her energy. 10 minutes later, Officer Grant pulled up with a face that said, I left coffee for this. He approached the scene like it might explode into synchronized swimming warfare. Lily paused mid-lap, blinking as the sirens echoed off the water. Is this about the swim cap again? She whispered, climbing out with trembling arms. Barbara was already mid-monologue. Me. This family has repeatedly ignored our pool schedule, and that girl is creating a hostile environment through freestyle dominance. Officer Grant looked over his notepad, then at Lily, then at me, then at Barbara. Mom, he said slowly, this isn't a crime scene. It's a Tuesday. Lily wrapped herself in a towel and buried her face in my chest. Daddy, am I a bad kid? And just like that, my insides turned to fire. This was no longer a pool squabble. This was psychological warfare in pastel flip-flops. Officer Grant shifted uncomfortably as Barbara leaned in with her final flourish. Me. If we let this go unchecked, what's next? Cannonballs. Marco Polo. I took a long breath and gently pulled Lily closer, speaking low but firm. You didn't do anything wrong, sweetheart. You just swim better than a woman who drowns in her own ego. The officers left shaking their heads. Me, clearly used to HOA drama but still amazed at the depths Barbara was willing to dive without getting her hair wet. As the squad car pulled away, Barbara shouted after it like she was auditioning for a sequel. I'll be filing a formal complaint with the Regional Oversight Division. I turned to her, calm but electric. That's funny, I said, because I'll be filing one too, just not against a child. Her eyes narrowed like a printer jam mid-eviction notice. Later that night, Lily whispered, maybe I should stop swimming for a while. I looked her straight in the eye and said, or maybe we stop letting laminated Terrence call the shots. That's when I opened my laptop, and the research began. Barbara didn't know it yet, but she'd just upgraded her villain status from annoying to unforgettable. Calling the cops on Joy doesn't make you an enforcer. It makes you a villain in Crocs. And sometimes, the only way to protect peace is to raise hell with facts. Have you ever seen someone call the cops on common sense? Let us know your wildest neighborhood moment, especially if it involved goggles, egos, or glittering petness. Barbara Eastman didn't just dislike swimming, she waged a full-blown war on talent like it owed her money and once dated her husband. I started connecting dots the way she connected pool noodles with too much energy and no real reason. At first it was just odd. Every family with a kid who stood out mysteriously moved away. Soccer prodigies, piano virtuosos, budding artists, they all packed up under a cloud of compliance issues. Their offense, being too good at something Barbara's son Tyler didn't enjoy, which, apparently, was everything that required effort. I found HOA meeting minutes buried deeper than her emotional maturity, and there it was, a motion to review disruptive activities from minors, filed 3 times in 18 months, each following a talent show, swim meet, or local art display. One entry read, suggested mediation to prevent competitive imbalance in common areas. That's OA speak for, let's punish anyone who makes Tyler look average. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. Barbara had sent legal advisories to 5 families, none of which were approved by the board. Because, plot twist, those advisories were penned by Barrett Legal Consulting, a firm owned by her brother-in-law. I asked Tyler straight up, you like swimming? He shrugged like someone who's been coached to pretend joy is exhausting. Not really, he said. But Mom says I have to be the best, so she makes sure other kids get less time. He looked down like he'd just admitted to eating Santa's cookies. The poor kid was trapped in her competitiveness like a fly in a mason jar. Barbara didn't want fairness. She wanted the scoreboard rigged so Tyler wouldn't feel second place, even if he wasn't playing. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I've seen enough small claims court TV to know shady when I smell it. Those legal fees, unauthorized, and I had the HOA charter, receipts, and enough righteous indignation to fuel a congressional hearing. I put together a folder thicker than Barbara's sense of entitlement. Financial reports, email chains, resident testimonials, even a hand-drawn chart of disappearing talent. This wasn't a neighbor dispute anymore. This was evidence of a one-woman vendetta masquerading as enforcement. And just like that, the strategy snapped into focus. If Barbara wanted to control the neighborhood through fine print and false authority, fine. I'd just make sure the fine print bit back. Next OA board meeting. Let's just say the projector wasn't the only thing that would short-circuit. Bullies love paperwork, until someone reads it better than they do. Especially when that someone comes with footnotes and a vengeance. Ever uncover the fine print on someone's obsession? Drop your discovery stories below. We're building a library of HOA justice. One receipt at a time. HOA meetings are usually the cure for insomnia. This one felt like live theater with popcorn tension. Barbara Eastman strutted in like a dictator arriving at her own award show, armed with a fresh batch of community disruption reports that included offenses like sidewalk chalk infestation and unauthorized laughter near common space. I showed up with a folder so thick it could bench press her HOA ego. Residents filed in slowly, confused but curious. They had no idea this was the day the crown would crack. Barbara opened the meeting with her usual mix of false concern and caffeine-fueled superiority. We must preserve the integrity of our shared resources, she declared, like she was giving a TED Talk on oppression. She launched into a speech about harmonizing behavior across the neighborhood, a phrase so vague it could have applied to North Korea or a potluck gone wrong. That's when I raised my hand and said, before we get to harmonizing, I'd like to present a few receipts, financial and otherwise. I distributed copies of the unauthorized legal expenses, the fake violation notices, and screenshots of Barbara's greatest hits, threatening emails, tampered pool schedules, and minutes from ghost meetings where only she attended. Faces shifted. Eyebrows launched. Mr. Henderson squinted at a line item that read, Advisory Consulting $2.350. Did we really pay your brother-in-law to threaten kids? He asked. Barbara's smile twitched like it had just pulled a hamstring. Those were necessary services, she barked, to enforce standards. I replied, Mom, you hired family to harass families. Then came the moment. I made a motion for a vote of no confidence in Barbara's leadership, citing abuse of authority, misuse of HOA funds, and psychological warfare via laminated signage. Mrs. Kaplan seconded so fast her purse hit the floor. The vote wasn't even close. 11 hands went up. Only Barbara and her 2 human paperweights opposed. And when I said, "You're not even going to be president in 5 minutes," Barbara erupted like someone just told her hummus was spicy. She stood, papers flying, shouting, "You'll regret this! I was keeping this place civilized! Without me, this becomes a zoo!" Mrs. Sullivan leaned over and said, "Then let's install a splash pad." Laughter rippled across the room. Barbara's face turned HOA pink, the official color of authoritarian panic. She stormed out, muttering something about legal recourse, property values, an ungrateful residents with no respect for order. But her eyes, oh, they burned. Not with defeat, but with the kind of rage only felt by someone who just got outvoted by a guy in a Hawaiian shirt. Truth doesn't need volume, it just needs proof. Especially when the loudest voice in the room is clinging to power like it's the last floaty in a wave pool of receipts. Ever watched someone lose control in real time? Drop your most dramatic AOA moment below. Bonus points if it includes sidewalk chalk or snack bans. Barbara Eastman walked to the pool with the swagger of a villain delivering a birthday cake to a crime scene. Except the cake wasn't for eating, it was for framing. A full picnic bag stuffed with sodas, sandwiches, and what looked like a sheet cake iced in passive aggression went straight into the deep end while Lily swam, oblivious. Tyler stood awkwardly poolside as Barbara whispered like a dollar store bond villain, "Remember, you saw her throw it." And then, like clockwork, she put on her best shocked face and shouted, "Oh my goodness!" What happened here? The timing was so theatrical I half expected a fog machine. Barbara pointed at Lily, who was blinking at floating ham sandwiches like she'd fallen into a deli daydream, and declared, "This is a violation of pool sanitation protocol." Several neighbors gathered, unsure whether to call security or a food critic, but I just pulled out my phone and opened the pool cam app. I'd installed the camera after the last fake incident. It had night vision wide-angle lens, and the one thing Barbara hadn't planned for, the truth, caught in glorious 1080p. I didn't have to say much. I just hit play. There was Barbara dumping snacks like a grocery store tantrum. There she was whispering to Tyler, then ducking behind a bush before reappearing to discover the mess. And there was Lily, doing her laps nowhere near the floating lasagna. The crowd gasped. One lady clutched her pearls like she just watched someone slap a puppy. Mrs. Penelope, a retired court stenographer, began typing what she saw word for word on her iPad. Timestamp 34:2 p.m. Subject Barbara Eastman. Offensive snack sabotage. Barbara's face collapsed like a deflated air mattress. "This is taken out of context," she yelled. But the context was high definition, surround sound, and deeply unflattering. The new HOA board called an emergency ethics hearing on the spot. "We'll decide if she can ever step foot in that pool again," said Mrs. Penelope, not looking up from her iPad. Tyler looked like he wanted to vanish into the chlorine. Then, as if humiliation had a sequel, Barbara passed out a stapled, triple-spaced, 3-page document titled "Why I Was Right All Along." It included charts, a bibliography of fake sources, and a section called Pool Trauma Statistics. The hidden toll of entitlement. Someone asked if it was satire. Barbara replied, "Absolutely not. I am the only one protecting order." A seagull pooped on her windshield as she said it. Divine punctuation. You can fake authority, but you can't fake camera footage, especially when the audience has popcorn and receipts. What's the worst lie someone ever got caught in? Bonus points if it involved snacks, drama, or waterproof evidence. Drop your story below. We're building the HOA Hall of Fame. Lily now teaches swim lessons with the grace of a dolphin and the patience of a saint who's seen too many pool noodles. Her first student, Tyler Eastman. The very boy once ordered to fake a sandwich scandal like it was an Olympic event. He showed up with floaties, humility. And a clipboard Barbara accidentally left behind in her rush to flee the OA's wrath. "I want to learn the butterfly," he mumbled, not making eye contact. Lily smiled. "Let's start with learning to float." Barbara moved out in the middle of the night like a cartoon villain whose lair got foreclosed. Her for sale sign vanished faster than her authority, and the final item left on the porch was a soggy HOA handbook with her name scratched out in red pen. Her manifesto never resurfaced, though one neighbor claimed to have used it as kindling for a community barbecue. Tyler, now visibly lighter without his mom's anxiety orbiting his every move, apologized in full. "I didn't want to lie. I just didn't know how to say no to her." Lily began to swim like she used to, fast, fierce, free. But now she coached others. She taught toddlers to kick like ducklings, coached teens on technique, and showed parents how to stop hovering like poolside helicopters. The HOA hung a new plaque, polished and simply silver brush pool. "Welcome everyone." The message was clear. No laminated manifestos, no fake charts, no stopwatch audits, just water, joy, and decency. One afternoon, Mike found Lily perched at the pool's edge, watching the sunset ripple like melted gold across the water. "What are you proudest of?" he asked, expecting something about winning. But Lily, wiser than her years, replied, "Not stopping. Not letting one loud voice drown out everything good." Mike nodded. The HOA had voted him in as chair, but Lily had become the community's quiet leader, no clipboard required. Then came the twist no one expected. Tyler joined the neighborhood swim team, coached by Lily. His strokes were a little awkward, his turns too wide, but he grinned like he finally belonged. Barbara once left behind a legacy of fear disguised as policy. Lily left behind kids who knew how to swim, and how to smile, and how to stand their ground. Lily now teaches swimming with the kind of joy that can't be laminated or fined. Her first student, Tyler Eastman, whose mom once accused her of chlorine theft and aquatic sabotage. "I don't even like swimming that much," he admitted during his first lesson. Lily just smiled and said, "That's okay. We're not here to be the best. We're here to be better than fear." And just like that, 2 kids started rewriting a script that used to be all accusation and none of the splash. Barbara moved out 3 weeks later, trailing a U-Haul full of throw pillows and rage. Her goodbye letter was 1 sentence long and printed in 14-point Times New Roman. "You'll see what happens without structure." But what happened was peace. The HOA elected Mike as chair unanimously, mostly because he was the only one who didn't require a projector and legalese to make a point. His first act, removing all fake bylaws and replacing them with 1 bronze plaque above the pool gate. Silverbrush pool. Welcome everyone. The sun gleamed off that metal like karma had a reflection. Lily resumed swimming without looking over her shoulder, but she did start looking beside her, at the kids who showed up shy and unsure. One little girl named Ava wore floaties in fear until Lily coached her through her first lap. Another boy, scared of the deep end, whispered, "Is it true you made a lady move away just by being awesome?" Lily laughed and said, "Not exactly, but being yourself is more powerful than it sounds." Word spread. Kids came not just to swim, but to believe again. One evening as the pool settled into quiet ripples, Mike found Lily sitting on a bench, legs crossed, watching the sunset like it owed her a thank you. "What are you proudest of?" he asked. She didn't even blink, not stopping. That one phrase carried more weight than any HOA manual. It wasn't just about swimming, it was about surviving a war waged by clipboard. The final twist came at the neighborhood swim team tryouts. Tyler walked up, towel over one shoulder, and said, "Coach Lily, can I try out?" The girl he once accused, under duress and dilly meat, grinned and blew her whistle. "Let's see what you got." The redemption arc wasn't perfect, but it was human. And more importantly, it was theirs. Lily now teaches swimming with the kind of joy that can't be laminated or fined. Her first student, Tyler Eastman, whose mom once accused her of chlorine theft and aquatic sabotage. "I don't even like swimming that much," he admitted during his first lesson. Lily just smiled and said, "That's okay. We're not here to be the best. We're here to be better than fear." And just like that, 2 kids started rewriting a script that used to be all accusation and none of the splash. Barbara moved out 3 weeks later, trailing a U-Haul full of throw pillows and rage. Her goodbye letter was 1 sentence long and printed in 14-point Times New Roman. "You'll see what happens without structure." But what happened was peace. The HOA elected Mike as chair unanimously, mostly because he was the only one who didn't require a projector and legalese to make a point. His first act, removing all fake bylaws and replacing them with 1 bronze plaque above the pool gate. Silverbrush pool. Welcome everyone. The sun gleamed off that metal like karma had a reflection. Lily resumed swimming without looking over her shoulder, but she did start looking beside her, at the kids who showed up shy and unsure. One little girl named Ava wore floaties in fear until Lily coached her through her first lap. Another boy, scared of the deep end, whispered, "Is it true you made a lady move away just by being awesome?" Lily laughed and said, "Not exactly, but being yourself is more powerful than it sounds." Word spread. Kids came not just to swim, but to believe again. One evening as the pool settled into quiet ripples, Mike found Lily sitting on a bench, legs crossed, watching the sunset like it owed her a thank you. "What are you proudest of?" he asked. She didn't even blink, not stopping. That one phrase carried more weight than any HOA manual. It wasn't just about swimming, it was about surviving a war waged by clipboard. The final twist came at the neighborhood swim team tryouts. Tyler walked up, towel over one shoulder, and said, "Coach Lily, can I try out?" The girl he once accused, under duress and dilly meat, grinned and blew her whistle. "Let's see what you got." The redemption arc wasn't perfect, but it was human, and more importantly, it was theirs. And that's how my daughter turned a pool war into a blueprint for real community. Not with lawsuits, not with shouting matches, but with quiet courage, chlorine, and one perfectly timed butterfly stroke. What started with a clipboard tyrant calling the cops on a grieving child, ended with that same child teaching swim lessons to the very boy once used against her. That, my friends, is what healing looks like. Not petty victories, but legacy. If you've ever been made to feel small for simply existing, for being excellent, me, or for daring to smile in a place someone else tried to control, remember Lily. She didn't scream, she didn't beg, she just kept swimming, and in doing so, she reminded a whole neighborhood what leadership really means: service without ego, boundaries without barbed wire, and joy without permission slips. This story isn't just about HOA drama, It's about what happens when one person stands up, kindly but firmly, and says, "This place can be better, and I'm not going anywhere." So if this story made you feel something, hope, laughter, and maybe even a bit of fire, drop a comment below and tell us what you believe a real community should feel like. Smash that like button if you believe joy doesn't need approval. And don't forget to subscribe for more wild, honest, and healing stories like this one. The pool's still open, and next time the splash might just be yours.